even though I made that opening video scene,
Hmm.
I'm sorry, when our logo kind of comes in like in three pieces
It's
like
bad.
that, that is badass.
Yes,
And
but
how often am I smoking a cigar when we come on? I mean, I'm so looking forward to get into this.
well, I want to say that song kind of reminded me. There was a beat of it. It goes, "Here comes Santa," and I was like, it sounds like "Here comes Santa Claus." So,
I wish everybody could see us in the back, see us in the quote unquote green room because I'm sitting there going, and I say this every week, but I mean it's fun. It's fun.
Here
Anyways,
comes Greybeard.
welcome to the Twisted Pair. As our guest said, I am Greybeard, but of course everybody knows that. But welcome to the Twisted Pair.
and I am Ash Red, and today our guest is Neil Lana. Woo!
Hey
With time
everyone.
with time out cigars, if I can like do that. So I haven't like cut mine. The boys already
Mm.
started, okay? So the boys, you're bad boys, bad boys. So anyway, I wanted y'all to see the beautiful cigar before I cut it. So like if you look at that, beautiful torpedo. La. See, okay, now I can cut it. Now I can join y'all.
Now you can join us. Well, I mean, Neil, we're sitting and talking in the green room. I was looking up. It's like, oh crap! It's a minute and 38 seconds left, and I see
Mm.
Neil cutting his, and I'm like going, well, I can't let him show me up one. I can't let him show me up one. I mean, and first draw on this, and Neil, I got to say, we'll get into the cigar in a minute. We'll get into it in a minute because we always start off with our pairing. But I got to say, first draw on this cigar, um, dude, marshmallows.
It's National
I
Toasted
mean,
Marshmallow Day.
Yeah,
it is toasted
it is.
marshmallow day
Woo-woo.
from the same family.
From the same
Yes,
family.
From
and
the
we're gonna
same
get into
family.
that.
We're,
Yep.
we're, we're gonna get into all of that, but damn, dude, this is nice. But
It's been
anyways,
it's
What are
been
you
a
burying?
what
it's been a journey to get to this point. So thanks for having me on.
I'm
You're welcome.
excited to hear about that. But what are you pairing?
What am I pairing? Okay,
Mhm.
so I've got the Timeout Maduro Sumatra 6.5 inch soft box press torpedo, uh, affectionately known in the small circles of Timeout people as the Great White. And I'm pairing it with a this. Oh, look at that! The shark. That's one of one. That's one of one for sure because it has black eyes. I'm pairing it with a Stag Junior. I didn't
Stag
say Junior
Junior.
anymore. Stag pick. This happens to be. We can even talk about this later. This
Oh,
happens to be my own private barrel of Stag Junior, which is that's a flex, and it's fantastic.
Feel free to flex, and you're gonna see all kinds of jealousy written over right here. So
So
this is I want to I that is my goal is to
if we
have
were
a
in
leaf and
this,
grain barrel pick.
and we make that happen, but if we were all in the same place, we'd all be sharing the same bottles for sure. I am in a really cool spot. It's the Algiers Lounge in Dallas. Luckily, I've sponsored the cigar lounge here. It's the Timeout Cigar Lounge. It's a bottle share private club. It's super cool. It's going to be in the new issue of D Magazine. And
Stop, cut,
stop. What are we doing?
stop.
go
You're
to the
taking
corner. Go to the
get
corner.
get
I'm going
back
too
here.
fast.
We're doing
Take your
pair
time out. Take your time out.
time out,
If
dude.
you were here, I'm just saying, if you were here, you could have this. Time out. Time out.
Red, what are you
Okay.
pairing?
Okay. So, as I already showed, look
Mm-hmm.
Maduro
now.
Sumatra.
So
Yes, I was. Yes, the Sumatra, and I am pairing it with. Oh golly, Penelope Architect. If I can function today.
It's a
And
great one.
okay, so I did a totally girly pick. Okay, so y'all are gonna laugh at this. So I had the one that you had, like the one, the great white shark, that the great white, right?
yep.
I hadn't had this one. yet. And so I saw like the blue because it's blue and silver, and I thought of my Cowboys. That
Let's go. Let's go.
are going to go win the Super Bowl this year.
It's our year.
I
It's always our
I
year.
know it's always our year. And then I went with the blue because normally during football season, I don't know why the blue architect Penelope is my go-to. So I just kind of felt like I should celebrate football
After my
season right
pour,
now.
I'm gonna join. I'm gonna join you too. That the
Well,
Penelope
see,
is a great question.
I may have to go and get a
You
Penelope
just gonna have to
myself,
go.
but I went different. So having read up on the notes, reading up a little bit on the cigar, and the Sumatra, and knowing that those nice sweet tropical fruit notes that we like to get, I mean that we typically get out of a Sumatra, I went with Angel's Envy. But
Oh,
this isn't just any old Angel's Envy. This is not a store one that you can go to the store. This is the distillery pick
oh,
that they release once a
flexes.
year.
The flexes are
Uh,
happening.
yes, so this one is coming in at 110 proof, and this is beautiful, and just look at that color on that. I mean,
Ooh,
that is some nice, beautiful, deep amber. So we're going to get that port finish marrying up with
Yeah.
the Sumatra. Oh man.
Oh man, and I apologize for that. I was sitting there. Y'all ignore the chat that's coming in because I thought I was chatting to the group because I wanted to say hello, hello, everyone. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Uh, Chris Coulter says we're all wrangling the shark tonight, and so
Chris is great. Chris is so great.
yeah, he's great.
Well, I
So
mean, look at this. We got Chris. We got the man. We've got Cigar Traveler himself, Zach, on here. We've got Brian McKeens, and then we've got Terry Lynn Walker Fout Draper. That is her name.
yes,
Hi Terry.
Love Terry. And here's another little flex. So Terry is working on her level 3 quarter wine sommelier, and Terry has recently joined the Leaf and Grain team as a writer for wines, and
Oh yeah, let's go.
I'm so excited to read her first piece. I mean, to have someone like Terry to pair up with writing about wines and just really bringing out the world of wines to people. Yes, Terry, I'm putting you on the spot, so now you got to deliver, sister.
da-da, da-da,
Man, look at this hat. So I start off this morning and I go over to a friend's house and help her dig up some weeds and some stuff out of her garden, and she's you know just get in the dirt. And then I drive, and this is over in Addison. Then I drive all the way from Madison, all the way down to Underground, because you messaged me and said, "Dude, you got something there." And I walk in, and I'm just hot and dripping in sweat, and Ninja's there, and he's like, "Hey, dude," turns around, grabs it to me, and I just take the bag, and I was like, "All right, man, all right, I'm gonna head back home." Come up here, lay down for about an hour, open up the bag, saw the hat in there, and I just went, "Oh shit!" Just
So
like that.
I I'll just say I'm very observant. So in this whole cigar journey, I'm a sponge for knowledge. Ash had posted a long time ago on, I think it was on the Underground website, said,
yeah, it was.
"Oh, I really want blah blah blah." She said this, and I go, "Okay, I'll take a note of that." And I saw you, Greybeard, at the Trinity Whiskey Cartel charity thing at Underground, and you saw my hat, and you go, "I want one of those," and I go, "All right,
Yep.
noted." So I'm
I,
a
I
very
even
conscientious
So
giver.
thank you.
I
Yes.
even posted that I wanted one of the hat when Don was giving one away.
Well, yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what I said. I wanted to show. I wanted to show. So please, because we all know who we are. And it's kind of like sitting down talking to family, and so I want to give our viewers that opportunity to get to know Neil. So tell us about how you got started in came up with Timeout Cigars? Like, where did your
So,
journey begin?
so crazy journey. Not intentional. I don't think. Like it, I don't think any kid wakes up in the morning and says, "Hey, I want to own a cigar company." Um, but so
My
I think
grandson's going to.
so maybe not. Maybe the kids are
I'm
smarter
just
than
kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
So what's really funny is this is the Timeout Cigars is a complete story of friendships and connections and bourbon and cigars and just general good people, right? So if you really want to back it up all the way, uh, I'm my first passion is bourbon. I've been into bourbon for a long time. That's one of the so we can all cheers this. It takes a crazy person to have their own barrel of stag. That's number one thing. But
Love it.
along the whole journey was you join bourbon clubs and you start to get into it. So funny story. This is a crazy story. My very first bourbon club that I ever joined was Dallas Bourbon Club, which is one of the most hard ones to get in. But I was very early on this, and super great group, 501c3 charity. Do a lot for the DFW area. And then I got into the other ones, right? So there's a bunch of other ones in DFW. We're really lucky to have a ton of groups here. DFW Whiskey Club, Someone Say Whiskey, Trinity Whiskey Cartel, super great clubs. And you start hanging out and you start meeting these great people. And here's a really crazy one. So I'm at a bourbon thing. We're smoking cigars. I'm drinking bourbon. I'm looking, and I see this guy, a good friend of mine, Brian Black, smoking a cigar, and he's drinking bourbon, and he's got a really cool watch on. This is really the start of Timeout. And I go, what would be really cool is if your cigar matched your watch. That was the first thing, right? And I go, that was, so put that in the back of your mind. Fast forward through the pandemic and all this stuff, you're smoking cigars, because you're working from home, and I'm smoking one with coffee in the morning, I'm smoking one at night. And, cigars started to go through the roof. And my two favorite cigars were a Cuban Partagas and an Añejo 77 Shark. These were my two favorite cigars. If anybody knows anything about those, Cuban Partagas used to be fairly accessible through, the internet and all this other stuff. But now if you want one, it's going to be about $40, right? That's not something you can smoke every day. The other one, an Añejo 77 Shark, is a fantastic smoke. However, it only comes once a year, like Santa Claus, right? Mm-hmm. So I wanted to, enjoy these cigars every day, and it's a hard thing to do. So crazy thing, we're at a bourbon event. I meet with one of my great friends, Howie Mosier, and he is doing cigars, barrel aged for his old Hansford cigar bourbon brand. And he goes, "You need to talk to Ryan Rodriguez and Holly." And I go, "Who is Ryan Rodriguez and Holly?" Most everybody would know this is Ohana Cigars. And so I sent a message to Ryan, just as naive as can be, and I said, "Hey, my name's Neil, and I have this crazy idea to make these cigars." And Ryan is the greatest guy on the face of the earth. And he continued to talk to me. And I think because I was so adamant about what my idea was to kind of replicate these things and to try and go down this path, and I didn't stop. Like, he was in Nicaragua the first time I ever talked to him. So, I didn't stop, pestering him.
You were persistent.
I was persistent, right? And so I said, "Hey, when you get back, let's talk." And so we met and we talked, and I said, "Here's my idea. I don't feel that we're ever going to be able to replicate a Partagas D4 or a Lusitania or an Añejo Shark. But what I'd like to do is get in that neighborhood. I'd like to be able to, figure out how I can have this enjoyable smoke every day." And he said, "We can do that." And so through his connections, we found a factory, we got blends, we got access. He's got so many connections. We got access to this great aged tobacco stock, and we started blending. And this is months and weeks of blending. And we went through, it was 30 plus blends, and we were meeting every day just smoking and smoking. So tough job. But
someone's got to do it, right?
Someone's got to do it. We came across these two blends And I don't know anything, like, so I'm not anything. And I was like, okay, this one seems really good. This is the one I think is the one we should go with. But we were smoking these, and he goes, these two fit the bill. So I have a Habano blend that is what I call my homage to old Cubans, right? I think we've all had those, old aged Cubans, and they're great, creamy milk chocolate, just billowy smoke and so great. And then the other one was the Maduro Sumatra, and it is this aged, a little bit more darker, burnt. I describe it, and this is probably, I'm not good at any of this stuff, like I make up stuff. I call it the burnt corners of brownies, right? That burnt brownie smell. If somebody lights up a Maduro Sumatra in a room, I can be like, oh, I can smell it. It smells like burnt brownies, right? Burnt edges of brownies. It's so great. And so we had these two blends, and I remember to this day what Ryan told me. I said, well, maybe we'll pick one and then we'll do whatever. And he goes, hey, if you're gonna do this, let's just do it, right?
Yeah.
These blends are not gonna sit on the shelves for a while. Somebody's gonna go grab them. If you're gonna do them, just do it. So this is where I talk about my saint of a wife, Donna, who Ash you've met, Greybeard you met too,
Yes.
Underground. And so it's like, I told her, I said, hey, I think we're about to jump in both feet on this thing and do these two blends, and they are going to be the homage to these cigars that, we can't get anymore. And, she said, hey, let's do it. And, we did it. So, here we are. So I've got a Habano blend, which is a fantastic, nice smoke. And then we've got the Maduro blend, which I think we're all smoking the Maduro blend tonight. Are you smoking?
Yeah, I think we're.
Greybeard? Oh, so Greybeard's got the Habano. So
I've got the Habano.
I don't know if we want to talk about why it's called Timeout, but
yes,
it's got a watch theme. I think some of you may be watch collectors, and it doesn't say anything on the band about this. So
I think we need to take a time out on why it's called Timeout, because I just want to talk a little bit about this.
Can you hear me?
So yeah.
But anyway,
can you hear me?
Oh, I can't hear you, Greybeard. What's happening?
Can you hear me, Red?
I can hear you.
Okay. What about now?
I think I'm out. What happened?
Uh-oh. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I
Yes.
can hear you.
I can't hear you.
Yes.
What's wrong?
That's just so weird.
Oh, I just asked on myself.
Did
Can
you
hear
hit me?
Okay, so now I'm.
You muted us. That's so rude.
I don't know.
I know.
My phone took over my AirPods.
He didn't want me interrupting him. I had the great joke of we're gonna take a timeout on the timeout, and it's like
timeout on the timeout. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Somebody was calling me on my phone. They probably saw me on the podcast.
Oh yeah, they do that.
Yeah. So we were talking. So I'm gonna zoom in like on the stickers so people can see. Hey, look! I look like a face right there. Wait. Okay. So there's that one, and this is the facings of our thing. Now, you and I were kind of talking about this the other night. So I want you to look at the logo, and like I said, one of the first things that came out, because I'm a nerd and I own my nerdiness, and I'm okay with that. Is I love comic books. I love the characters growing up, DC, Marvel. I love them both. And when I saw that, it straight up reminded me of the Green Lantern when I saw it.
Yes.
And I was like, dude, I need a ring. I need a Green Lantern ring. So that's what it reminded me of. Then this one, the red and blue, because, Texas, I am a huge Ranger fan. I love them. They're better than the Astros. I will fight you on that. So go Rangers. And that's okay. So the T reminded me of the Texas Rangers. In the red and blue, and it was circled like a baseball. But, I didn't knock that one out of the park. I was wrong on those.
You're good.
So
no, you're right. The beauty of all this,
yes.
the beauty of all this is that you're right, because intentionally I don't have any words on any of my labels on anything, because the way I feel that a lot of this stuff is, it's the emotion that you get and the impression that you get on your own. So watch people will be like, oh, that's a Batman, that's a Pepsi. You know, nerds will be like, oh, I see Green Lantern, and people who are type-faced people, which the person who created Loto is a type-faced person, will see that it's the T and the 0 and the O from a $20 bill. You know, so we kind of just played with this, and again, this goes back to this whole thing was created just with, you know, circles of friends just coming up going, hey, it would be cool if we did this or if we did that. What do you like? What do you don't? Right? So super fun, well, and I like that.
Well, and one of the things that you said, like, this was like, you know, the Rolex, you know, yep. and I dropped my other one. So here's the blue one. So if you are a watch person and you know about Rolexes, you know that's some of the facing. And I told you what the next one needs to be.
You are correct. I have crazy ideas with everything. So Ryan has always told me, hey, you just keep the crazy ideas coming and we'll figure out how to go. But yeah, your idea. You want to say your idea so you can get credit for it?
So yes. So I said, where's the presidential? Because that is the presidential Rolex.
So what size is the presidential? Is it Churchill with the diamonds in the thing, or is it 6x60?
Well, see, I'm more of the small one, but the presidential watch is the biggest one. So you'd have to do if you're going to go with the theme, you'd have to go with a Churchill on it. So on that one, but you know, I like the smaller ring gauges, so we might have to do a woman's Rolex. So, a woman's presidential. There you go. The woman came up with it. There you go. Donna agrees.
Donna has a great idea on another line. We'll have to figure this out. One of my original ideas was that every blend would be a different watch. So I had an idea for a Cartier has a tank, which is a square thing. So do a tank. Another famous line of watch and jewelry is I'm gonna get sued. I'm sure I'm gonna get a cease and desist from somebody. But Tiffany blue, like do a Tiffany blue dial with all that, right? So super cool. The good part is there's a lot of opportunities for special editions and stuff.
Where's the Timex for us 99%ers?
So this is right here. Here's the great part. So most everybody knows me. I am cheap as all get out, right? So everyone goes, oh, you have the Batman one. This is a Timex. Like this was $59.
Oh, they think that's the Batman, but it's not the Batman.
It's a Batman Timex, right? So So my whole thing, again, I wouldn't make a line of accessible cigars that are the copies of these, you know, Lusitanias that you can't get anymore, and make them, you know, affordable every day. If you know, that's not my jam. So that was the whole point of this. Is I want these cigars to smoke every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a time out real quick. Pun intended. And talk really quick. Really quick. Keep it under a minute of how your pairing is. So Red, let's start with you. How's your pairing?
I'll start with you. I've got sidetracked. I did the ADHD stuff.
So far, my pairing with both of these together, and again, I'm drinking the Angel's Envy. This is a cast strength from Kentucky, from the distillery, and the buttery notes in the bourbon itself is just really bringing out the creamy milk chocolate creamy notes from the Habano. So far, beautiful pairing, loving it, going both directions from cigar to glass and glass to cigar. Neil, what do you think so far, buddy?
So I'm at a little bit of a advantage, I would say, because this I drank almost exclusively to blend this cigar. So the Maduro Sumatra, a little bit stronger, great, you know, dark chocolate and, you know, black pepper, you know, notes. And this Stag Junior is 138.6 proof. Doesn't drink like that. It's got really heavy molasses, dark
Ooh.
brown sugar notes. I got to get you some samples of this or come drink this with me.
Oh, please.
Tremendous pairing. Again, I went at this with the intent of, these are the cigars that I want to enjoy the way I want to enjoy them. So that Habano Greybeard is really interesting that you say that. A little bit more milk chocolate, a little bit creamier. I drank that a lot with I would say an Angel's Envy, or even a Blanton's, or even a Buffalo Trace single barrel, but also coffee. Coffee and cigars is one of my favorite pairings. And the Maduro I drank with all my high proof stuff. I think everybody goes through a journey, and I'm on the high proof side of this journey.
Okay, because you and I are smoking the same cigar, correct? Okay.
Yep.
So, and we all know Penelope is not a high proof. It's a low proof.
What's Architect? What's the proof on Architect?
Ooh, it is 104.
I mean,
so that's build number 2.
That's low for us. Should I phrase it that way?
Okay,
yes.
Okay. I got you.
120 plus is high proof. 120 plus is high proof.
So for me, that's low. That's low.
So how's it go? How does it pair up?
And it is it's creaminess. It's you were talking about that buttery. When I do cigar to the Penelope, it's like a buttery creaminess that you don't experience really from the cigar unless you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it changes that flavor in your mouth. But then I'm spinning. Okay. Going the other way, it picks up those spices.
Yeah.
Those spices. And so and it almost kind of is and I even retroed because y'all know I do what we call the poor man's smoked drink. So, and if you saw me doing it and you're thinking, okay, that girl's whack, why is she smelling the heck out of her bourbon? Is you get a puff of your cigar.
Blow it in the glass.
Blow it in that glass, and then you drink it.
All right, let me do this. Like that?
Yeah. And what I'm getting here is that it's almost kind of like a cherryness.
Whoa. I was just about to say I got Luden's cough drop out of that thing.
Yes. Is that not insane?
See,
I love the look on his face.
This is my thing. I'm a constant learner, right? So through this whole thing, I will not claim to be that I know anything about anything, and I love learning these new things, and I love learning about all this stuff, and now I know this is dope.
So
well, we're gonna take a quick look. I'm sorry, Red. Go ahead.
No,
and it looks,
I was just gonna say it was shocking. I wasn't expecting so much of a cherry.
I got a little bit more of that blackberry type note when I blew in it from this one here. But Neil, I want you to think about I want you to think a little bit about the story of how Time Out Cigars fits in the Ohana family, and talk a little bit about the family for us when we come back. And we're going to take a brief break for our potential sponsors and come back with our news and events. So here we go.
Got it.
Okay, Red, so what events have we got coming up?
Okay, so this one is actually tomorrow. It's an Addison cigar, and it is a cut and light, and I will be there.
Who's going to be there?
Um,
But besides
so
you, because I would come to see you alone. But
who cares about who's going to be there? I'm going to be there. No, I'm just kidding. So Hector and Brian with like I make a joke and I say quesadilla because like someone actually called it quesadilla. And ever since they've said quesadilla, I can't get it out of my mind. And it's like I have to look at it because I just want to say, I'm going to be there with quesadilla cigars. And, and now that I've said it, now I can't say it. Uh,
Quesada.
Casada, thank you. Because so I will be there with Casada cigars tomorrow night, and it is from 6 to 9 at Addison Cigar Lounge. So come join Hector, Brian, and I. Will be out there tomorrow. Another one is happening on September the 9th, and it is Blow and Smoke, and they are almost completely sold out. So go to Blow and Smoke, go to their Instagram, their Facebook, their webpage. It will show you how to get there. They are having like a cigar fest the entire weekend. So go out there, get your tickets. They if you go ahead and get your tickets, you get VIP swag, cigars, everything. So it's going to be a great time, and we'll be out there. So join us. So that's what I have, and I'm going to wait for the other one to later on in the month. I just wanted to mention those two.
Sounds good. Okay, well, this first one that I've got. It's not really exciting news, but I think it's really important news for the cigar industry. And this is from the Scandinavian Tobacco Group and their Q2 financials. So in their Q2 financials, now granted, this is all in the Denmark money when I'm talking about it. But they did notice at the end of Q2 that the company experienced a 2.3% decrease in net sales, bringing them to a DKK of 2.2 billion. They attribute the decline to various factors, including inventory adjustments and market dynamics. Now, all of that having been said, they're anticipating the total 2023 sales range to be in the 8.7 to 9 billion, which is still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at a really good EBITDA, which is the earnings before interest and tax. And what that is that shows the company's ability to profit.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm really kind of encouraged about this is that the Scandinavian group in their final thoughts state that the 2023 report and revised outlook serves as a reminder that even established players in the premium cigar industry are not immune to market volatility.
Mm-hmm.
And as a business-minded individual, it's essential to monitor these developments. So, I mean, even all of us need to monitor these types of
Yeah.
developments and go to our brick and mortars and buy from them because that's going to help. And learn from strategies employed by industry leaders by them. So I thought that this was, really relevant to the fact that we've got Neil from Time Out Cigars with us.
And I kind
This
of want to add.
go
Okay,
go
go
ahead,
ahead,
go
and I
ahead.
want to add to that. Okay, so everybody is like saying, like they come into cigar lounges and everything, and they're like, prices keep increasing, prices keep increasing. Well, you got to understand that the prices are going up in everything across the world. The way the tobacco is increasing, the taxes are increasing on the tobacco. To manufacture the boxes is increasing. To do the graphics, the art, the bands, everything in this thing is increasing. So they're taking like almost like a hit, I want to say, because things are increasing in the tobacco world. So I just kind of
Yes.
want to point that out. And we talked about it in the past, but it seems like, we used to only increase our tobacco like once a year, the prices. Then it was twice a year. Now it seems like I want to say like every quarter. It's more than every quarter. To me, it seems like every 9 weeks, every 12 weeks, and it's not the business owners that are doing it. It's because they're still giving you the prices but you've got to look at how everything is increasing. So I just wanted to add that to
No,
that. So support your brick and mortar because
I
it impacts their business.
yes, and I think this would be a great topic for us to get into on the second half because I want to hear
Hmm.
about it from from Neil's standpoint as well.
Yeah.
So let's hit that in the second hour.
Yes.
The other thing that I thought is really cool. So everybody knows how Red and I both love our rice. And here's a new rye coming out from Widow Jane. It states here that Widow Jane has launched a new rye, the latest in Brooklyn Distillery collection from small batch whiskey. The statement from Widow Jane is noted that their Paradigm Rye will have a soft rollout in key markets, and then the rye whiskey will hit shelves across the U.S. later this summer. It is the first nationally available Widow Jane product that is made up of all whiskey distilled by Widow Jane and their home on Conover Street in Red Hook, Brooklyn. So if you don't know, Widow Jane has been primarily, has been
Hmm.
MGP or
Yeah.
sourced
That.
spirits. This is their first distilled. They're at Widow Jane Distillery, their first spirit, their first offering, and they're being very bold with coming out with a rye on that. And I just say, kudos to them. I love Widow
Hmm.
Jane. So watch for it at your stores. Pick it up. Widow Jane, if you're hearing this, put us on your media list, people.
Uh, and here was like when you were talking about that, is Dallas one of those areas? Because you know that the select one is normally. Do you know if we're in that area? I just was curious.
I do not know. I don't have that information if we
Okay.
are in that area.
Okay. Uh,
But that is the Twisted Pair news and events, and we will be right back. I feel like every time we do that, we're getting better at it now too, because this is
yeah.
like time number 3. I feel like whenever we do that we're like an actual now. I mean, we've always been an official show, but now we're an official
Hmm.
show because we have a segment. We have a news and events segment. It's like I long for the day, and now the news and events brought to you by
All right. Blah,
Time
blah,
out
blah,
cigars.
blah.
Oh, sorry.
There
Time
you go.
Out
Time out.
Cigars.
Cigars. Take a
Let's
time
do
out.
it.
We're taking a time out, weekly time out with time
Taking
out
a
We are
cigars.
time
taking
out.
a timeout with
Time out.
Timeout
See,
Cigars
it
for
just comes
the
out.
news and events.
So what's
Ooh,
funny
that's
is
good.
why is it called Time Out Cigars?
Yeah.
It's a funny thing, and everything I've done, the label, everything, I've just left it up to, the fans to just figure out what it means, and I came up with timeout, and this is just me. If you ask anyone, if I asked you, Ash, or you, Greybeard, to say, "Hey, let's smoke a cigar tomorrow morning with coffee. Bring a cigar." You would already know in your head right now which cigar you're going to
Hmm.
bring. Because we got probably, 30, 45 minutes to smoke, to have a coffee and go about our day. If I said, hey, we're going to go, play golf, you know, you would also have a different cigar in your head.
Hmm.
So what's funny is, uh, time, the time is, I think, the very first thought of cigar smokers when they think about what cigar they're going to smoke.
Yep.
So that's why I have a Robusto, a Toro, and the 6.5-inch box press Torpedo, known as the Great White, because it's basically short time, long time, anytime. That's the way
See,
I
I
came
would
up with that.
I would have to say in a golf game, I would probably have to choose the Minute Man by Warfighter because that's about how long my golf game would last.
Well, I was gonna say I don't go chasing after white balls.
Oh
Okay.
damn!
Well, let's say
Uh,
we're
so
gonna
Guys.
let's say we're gonna be out on the patio, and I've got
there we go.
I've got 2 cases of beer. So
Yeah, now see, now you're speaking my language.
you would
But
also
I
have
would
this
just
cigar.
drive the golf. I would just drive the golf carts. part because I don't have patience for mouth. I'll just say that straight up. But and to me, whenever like when I first heard the name, and I met you for first time at PTA. I'd seen you and
Yep.
heard about you, kind of a thing. And when I first heard about it, it's kind of like, and we talked about it on the show. It's me. Whenever someone smokes, they are taking time out, time away to escape.
100%.
Yep.
And for me, it's like, it's the stress of work, or it could be the
Yep.
stress of my kids, or it could be like different things, or it could just be like I need me time or something. So it's always, I refer to as moments. It's those timeouts are moments, and
1,000%.
those are my moments, like as a mom, because I think,
Yep.
and I don't want to like put down anything, but I think it's kind of like women are the worst about taking time outs and moments for themselves.
Everyone
We're
is.
the worst because
I
we
think
want to take
everyone is, but yeah,
care.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, we want to take
It's a
care of
selfish.
everybody else.
So this is a selfish endeavor.
Right.
This is a very selfish endeavor, and I've gotten very deep into the minutia of smoking cigars because, I've really gotten into it. And what I find very interesting is when you light a cigar, anyone lights a cigar, that is what you're going to be doing for 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours.
Mhm.
That is what you're going to be doing. You have
Right.
decided to take that time out, pun intended. You decided to say, I'm going to take this time selfishly, and I am
Mhm.
going to relax and enjoy the cigar. You're not
But
going to be doing a
Yeah.
lot of stuff.
and
You know?
here's my thing. As a psychologist part in me, I'm not going to say that it's selfish because a lot of times you need that to re-energize. And if you are like tapped out, then you can't give back to others. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
yes, some people
100%.
like might say that it's selfish, but I'm gonna sit there and say like for your mental health, it's not.
It's
So
not. It
And the
feels selfish though. It feels like you. And here's the thing: you're doing it just for you. Like this is
right.
not.
And
This
it's
is
okay to be selfish as
It's okay.
as someone who does,
Yeah.
evaluate and diagnose and psychologize people. It's okay to be selfish
And so I
at
love
times.
that. That's one connotation of it. The other connotation of timeout. I've got three boys. Uh, you know, and I've my wife is a saint, and sometimes you've done some stuff that you need to go in timeout for. I don't know what that is,
Hmm.
but anyway. So there's that
but
connotation of, hey, the bad kids need to go to timeout, and when you're smoking a cigar, you're kind of shunned. We can be honest
Hmm.
about this. You got to go find a different place to go do it. Can't you got to go find your cigar smoking spot. So it is a little bit of a timeout. You're in timeout. But then the other thing is it's time. Everything about a cigar is I am going to be taking this time to enjoy this cigar, and it's
Hmm.
when we really started going in about this, I really got into this again, this minutia of what is smoking a cigar. Terry's right; it's self care, but it's
Hmm.
also hey, um, it's almost meditative. If you're smoking a cigar
Hmm.
and you're really being cognizant of the time that you're doing, your breathing slows down, right?
Yeah.
We don't. Everybody knows you don't inhale a cigar.
Hmm.
So in that fact, you're skipping breathing. Your breathing slows down a little bit. Everything kind of, time kind of stands still for a little bit.
And it gives
I
you
love
that sanity,
it. It
and
gives you.
you need that sanity to
I've
keep
solved the
going.
world's problems, with
Yes, you're solving the
strangers.
world's problem right there. Yeah, time out, solving problems. So
I
what are
love.
you gonna say, Graybeard?
I was just gonna add that I've started doing life coaching, and I remember back when I was in counseling after my divorce. My counselor said, "Don't ever stop smoking cigars." And through life coaching and through stuff that I've been discovering and researching and learning about the ministry that I'm starting, it's important to take time for yourself
Hmm. Yeah.
and do things for yourself. The other thing I wanted to mention is that you need to be collecting maybe royalties every time somebody mentions time out because there's a plug for your cigars right then and there.
Just make sure you got one of these in your hand, and I'm totally fine
He's good.
with all of that.
He's good.
I'm looking at the comments, and I'm looking at the comments are great on this. Everyone, I think we all, kind of feel the same about smoking cigars. Again, when we started doing this whole project, it was, a really, I don't know, like, so I'm, again, new to all of this, a very naive approach to what this all kind of breaks down into, right? And the great part is, and this is, I think, where Ryan and I really bonded when we did this. The number one thing about a cigar is construction, and that can be broken down to a lot of things. But it's draw, it's smoke, it's the way you feel, it's the way the cigar feels in your hand as you smoke it. And so that's where I went with everything in the timeout lineup, right? So 50 ring gauge, it's not too big, it's not too small.
Right.
It's
Right
what
in the
I
middle.
feel a cigar is in my hand, right?
Right.
And also I'm emulating, the infamous D4 size is a 50 ring gauge. If you've smoked an Ohana or 262, that construction, the ash,
It's gonna be.
is perfect every single time.
And I was showing off my ass, a couple times, and it was kind of we talk about stack and dine,
Yeah,
and the thing
stack
is,
times every time.
it's stack times even outside in the wind when you're talking to someone, and it's still stack and dine
Yeah.
so I mean that's there, and then here's another thing is like. You look at the cigars and you look at them and you're looking at the veins. Like a lot of times it'll be bumpy, it'll be veiny, and it's not smooth. And
The construction's perfect. Absolutely.
yeah,
Perfect.
so I mean it feels very very smooth. It's like felt like and sometimes people don't feel your cigar. And my thing is even in the cellophane. Okay, first of all, don't smell the cellophane. That's number one. Number
You're selling
two,
plastic.
You don't want to smell plastic?
yes, is like you can rub a cigar in the cellophane and feel like if it's too veiny, too much. And I mean, you can look at it. So if you're feeling it and it's nice and smooth and it's not poking little holes and got little things in there, then that's going to be like a perfectly constructed cigar. So, and you're going to get that.
I'd like to throw in there that having a toothy cigar, where there's nothing wrong with a toothy cigar.
Right.
It does come down to your preference, and I like a toothy cigar. I do like cigars, like this one here is supposed to be reminiscent of the Partagas D4, and which is a Cuban cigar, which is a very well-known Cuban cigar, and Cubans do have that beautifully smooth with just the little crisp of oils on the wrapper, and you have replicated that. I mean, you're paying homage to that to that beautifully. I love that. So what we're saying, what we're talking about this in here is that when you're paying homage to a particular line of cigars, it's important to pay that homage accurately with with the way the wrapper looks. There's nothing wrong with the toothy cigar, but there is something wrong. A cigar where you've got hills and crevices, hills and dips and valleys, and it's just all over it. That's a poorly constructed cigar because they didn't devein it enough, and you're going to get a bad smoke.
Correct. And I guess that's where I should have clarified that there is nothing wrong with that toothy cigar. And I'm hoping by the time that you watched our show, watched our episode, that you know that. That's what I'm going off of, is because
I knew where you were going.
Yeah. There's times
you.
It's like mountains and valleys. If you got mountains and valleys, like on you're feeling mountains and valleys, then that's not good.
My thing was, and this was a very telling thing. Everyone has cigars they keep in their humidor for a special occasion, right?
Right.
And you keep it there, and you're like, oh, we're gonna celebrate something, and we're gonna get this out. So I had one. It was a Cuban, and it had been in my humidor for 3 or 4 years, and I was like, we're gonna celebrate this. And Don and I were on the patio. I got this thing and got it ready to light, and it was like sucking a marble through a straw. It
Oh yeah.
was absolutely like just devastating. I was like, this is terrible, right?
It makes you want to cry.
It's like how bad can
How
it be,
long
right?
did I wait for this?
And so again, when we started blending these cigars, and we started making this, the emphasis on construction, and I think this is, maybe this is a statement on the whole cigar world in general. I feel that Nicaragua has really stepped up its game in the quality and the construction and just So my background is quality control. That's what I've done my whole entire thing, process quality and all this stuff, and the focus on making sure that every cigar is right. That's hard to do, especially when some of these factories are rolling millions of cigars, right?
Right.
And so, again, the approach that, we took, and, Ryan and I were talking about, we're craft cigars, we're making not millions, thousands of cigars. And when we make them, we want to make sure that everyone enjoys them, right? So, and this is really a cool thing when you're a small cigar, person. I have the luxury of being at a place and I see a label and I see somebody smoking it, and I'm like, how is that? They're like, oh, the construction's great, the draw's great. I'm looking at the ash as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, this feels good, right? And so that's kind of cool in the beginning. I hope we can keep this up, because this is what this is about. This is not about making millions and millions of cigars and being in every 7-Eleven that's out there. That's not what this is about. This is about making really cool cigars that I can smoke with my friends. This is really, that's really, if I were to write a business plan, that's what it would be.
Awesome.
I want great cigars I can smoke with my friends.
And the thing is y'all, you hooked up because we talked about like Ryan Rodriguez, and we said Ohana. And so now it is you, Ohana, and 262, and the Ohana, and I don't want to say it incorrectly, Nui,
Ohana
how is it
Nui,
pronounced?
The Ohana
Ohana
Nui fam.
Nui,
Yep.
which is the family. It's like
Yep.
it's like Yara family. And the cool thing is Ryan has been in this industry for a while,
Yeah,
and he's
over
built
a
up a
decade.
reputation, And so people, like today, we already talked about it, like the marshmallows. As soon
Yep.
as the marshmallows went up,
Sold
the
out.
marshmallows they sold out today. Like you
Yep.
could, they're gone at the place that we buy it. So
Every year they
every
do.
year it sells out that day. So when you have something that sells out that day at just like and they're posted up in several different places. We can't say it online. People ask where. That's why we keep putting
Is there a reason we can't
his.
say that online?
Yeah, because we'll get
YouTube,
blocked and banned.
Oh.
YouTube will take the
Flag
video
it,
down.
take it down. Yeah,
Yeah.
Really? Oh wow.
yeah. So, that's the thing is like we say, go to their website, message us, message Neil, and say, hey, this is the area I live in. Do you have them out there? Or hey, do you know where I can get a brick and mortar that will ship it to me? So follow the website. And like the thing is like I'm getting sad because like I'm getting very close. Even though this is like, we talked about it. And here's another thing. I love that it's a torpedo box for us. Love it. Love
I do
that
too.
it's that.
I
It's
love that Vitola.
You don't see too
it's as
many of
close.
those. They need more. They
It's
need
as close. It's as close to the and I don't know.
Donna,
So
Donna.
yeah, it's as close to the sharkish. Can I say that? I don't know why.
No, you can say that.
It's as
I-
close
So my favorite. So I'm a fan.
Donna.
Look at that. So actually, first off, I'm a nerd. I think if anybody has seen my favorite, I started out before we even had cigars. I was making hats and I was making cigar stands because I love hanging out with the cigar peeps and doing weird stuff, right? But yeah, so I'm a fanboy to begin with. So we talked about Partagas, Cubans, D4s, Lusitanias. Those are my favorites. My other favorite is an Anejo Shark. Like that is. I see him in the chat here. My good friend Brian McMeans, the one who coined the phrase "Great White." We love smoking Anejo Sharks, but you can't get them. You just can't get them. I love to smoke one every single day, but you can't. But so we started saying, as we started blending these things, like how close can we get? And our factory was like, hey, we can do this 6.5-inch soft box press torpedo. And I said, okay, let's make samples. And we brought these samples in, and it just feels so good in your hand, right?
It does.
It's long. It's a really long smoke. It's I've been smoking it. We've all been smoking the Great Whites as we've been going here. And by the way, Brian McMeans, I'll tell him, he coined the phrase "Great White" because it's bigger. It's bigger than a shark. It's the biggest shark you can get. So it's super fun. And so I made those cigar stands that we gave out in our launch, and Ash has one of one, the Maduro Black Eye Silver Great White cigars. You put your cigar in there so you can show everybody how it perfectly sits in there. It's amazing.
Look at this. It's so effing cool. Look at that.
This is what we're about.
This is my new BFF.
All cigar smokers are basically 12 years old, and we just want stuff. It's all about the.
Like, can I talk about like the really cool part and like I think it was
hold on to that just for 1 minute, because we're going to get into the fun, so we got to jump into the second half of our show. But it's verdict time, Red. And Neil, this is for you. This is for you from Red and I on what our verdict is on our pairing and your cigar.
Here we go.
So we will be honest, and if we don't like it, we're going to say we don't like it. It's not our profile.
I've told everybody, give me feedback, because this is the only way we get better, right?
Yeah.
So.
Red, you first.
Okay. So I smoked the other one last night, which it reminded me of the cigar that we talked about. And I mean, I enjoyed it, but like this one is like, I really like this one. This one's my number one. I'll quote a cigar shop owner. Can I say bad words here? This is fucking good. I didn't ask for permission. Yeah, it is fucking good. Like this one, I could see, because the price point, whatever. Like this one for me is box worthy. So like I'm really enjoying it. It is a good, and it's smooth. It's got a little bit of that spice, but it's got that creaminess. Like it's kind of like almost like, I mean, I think it would be phenomenal with a marshmallow stout, or just even like a regular stout. Like this with the stout, okay, and I'm a stout, like I will drink stout anytime. But like I would put this with a peanut butter stout, I'd put it with a marshmallow stout, I'd put it with a regular stout. I would even put it with a thin mint stout.
How about a bourbon barrel aged stout?
Yeah, I would. I would. Definitely, because like I've had several of those. But I think it goes better. It would be better with like that creaminess of the marshmallow. That's just my thought.
Now, for me, I really want to revisit the cigar with a wine, and I'm thinking like a Tempranillo or possibly a GSM, and I think it's going to pair better with us. This hasn't been a bad pairing with the Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
But it's not quite what I was hoping it would be. I mean, this is a good pairing. It's not a great pairing, and it's not the cigars. You've heard us all say, pairing is not necessarily the cigar. It could be the drink. The cigar by itself, and I took a couple of draws off of it before I started into the pairing. and I thought that this was a good cigar. It does remind me of the Partagas, really of what Partagas brings
Mhm.
out in their D4, the D2, and a lot of the original Partagas. So I definitely think that you've done a good job paying homage to it.
Mhm.
For me, the
Yeah,
pairing, I
definitely.
think this pairing would go better with a wine than a bourbon. And
That's
so
good. That's good. That's good.
my verdict on it, I'm not going to say it's box worthy yet, but I'm saying I'm really close. It's definitely 5 pack, 10 pack worthy.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely
I
5 pack.
do want to try the other
Mhm.
cigar. I think you've got a great hit for the market to see. And with that having been said, we will be right back.
I would even
I,
put a port with this. I would put a port with this.
I was about to say. So
Port.
Port would get,
I'm at
yeah.
this I'm at the Algiers Lounge in Dallas,
Mhm.
and one of the cool things about it is there's always events here. There's a wine event going on right now, and they have a Shiraz that they're pouring right now. Absolutely fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Are you pairing it now with it?
No, I finished it, and then I'm still with my
Okay.
stag right now.
Okay. Okay. Because I was like,
But
go get it.
but
I want to see what it's like.
I can
I,
go
I,
go grab some.
I wish I was there for the
So
wine event because you know how I love my wines.
So
Yes.
I will say this. So I'm looking at the comments here. I couldn't figure out how to type in the comments, but there's a someone in the comments named Billionaire that's asking
Oh,
a bunch
French quarterness.
bunch
Ah,
of
French
great
quarter.
questions.
Yeah.
So I'm in the cigar lounge, the Timeout Cigar Lounge at the Algiers in Dallas. The Cigar Indian was donated by one of the members. Super
Mhm.
cool, and I didn't. So again, I love the fact that everybody can just do their own thing. They
Mhm.
named the cigar Tobias T.O. because of the
Mhm.
timeout.
Ah,
So this is
yeah.
Tobias. He's
Oh,
just
I
here.
love Tobias. He's cool.
Tobias is cool. Very old school.
And
Uh,
he's from the tribe of Cherokee, just so you know.
yeah, but so I'm trying to look through the thing. So Billionaires asked a bunch of great questions. My favorite place to have a cigar is anywhere with anybody. I know that sounds like a cheesy answer, but we talked about this the other night, Ash. I've never met a
Hmm.
stranger in a cigar lounge.
No.
Underground is one of the best places because you can just sit down and you never know who you're going to sit next to.
Hmm.
I've smoked in almost all of the lounges in DFW, and they're super great. Um, and it's
Wait,
just cool. Like
there's 80 plus lounges in DFW. You mean you're telling me that you smoked in 80 plus lounges?
I am a 100% degenerate, and if somebody says, "Hey, meet me here for a cigar," I will be there. From
Wait,
McKinney down to Addison. So Addison is cool because
How does it? Yeah.
you can have a
Yeah.
steak and smoke a cigar. It's freaking great,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Most of the Dallas Bourbon Club is in Dallas, or we're everywhere from Bishop Arts all the way into
Hmm.
uptown or whatever it is. But you know, and I live in Arlington, so we've
Yeah.
got
He's
some.
a stone's throw away from me.
I was wondering how close he was to
We're
you.
probably about like 10 minutes. 10. Did
I
you
want,
say?
yeah, not even that. Yeah,
Not even
depending,
that. I say
depending on
8.
depending on what car
Okay,
I take,
depending
I
on
can be
what,
there in
yeah,
less.
I was gonna say. Okay, so I want to give kudos. Can I
Two
tell
two
that
point
last
three
night?
minutes in
Yeah,
his
in his
Ferrari.
Ferrari.
2.3.
Yeah, and he was about that last night. So I want to bring up two cool things. First, I want to talk about my little shark here, and he has other ones. So this is freaking cool because so you see this beautiful logo right here. in
In the
the
shark's
it's
mouth.
in the shark's mouth. It's great that it's the timeouts, it's like their logo. But if you take your phone and you put the camera thing on it, it automatically takes you to their website.
I didn't do it in your hat, Greybeard, because I was too small, too late. But if you tap on the logo on my
On your hat too?
hat, it also takes you to the. So every time somebody sees my hat, it's one of two questions. Number one, do you know your hat's upside down? And two, where can I get
Dick.
the hat? So I put an NFC in the little logo, so we can just tap and they can get to the link to buy a hat. So it's pretty funny.
And if you're a Cowboys fan, you know why it's upside down. If not, then you
Yeah.
suck.
At the PCA in Vegas, everyone was like, "What is going on with this hat? Why do you have?" And I basically just said it's a Dallas thing. I'm shamelessly stole the concept.
Eh, so billionaire says you're right, Ash. It looks like the presidential from the first glance.
Yeah,
For me, first glance, it looks like the Great White had swallowed up the Green Lantern. Because that's what it looks like to me. Having written and published a comic book, and I used to own my own comic book
it's very Green
store.
Lantern.
It's so all we need is just a bigger line at the bottom, and boom, you got it.
Yeah.
I was at a cigar lounge with two of my buddies, Brian Black and Corey McCord, and we were again the whole timeout thing is just about friends getting together and going, hey, let's come up with weird ideas, and this idea
Yep.
of the T and the O together just all of a sudden happened while we were smoking cigars and drinking bourbon, and I was like, well, that's it.
Yeah.
It looks like Green Lantern. It looks like the T, it actually is the T and the O from a $20 bill, which is kind of
Yeah.
funny.
And I want to say when you look at the band like this, when you take it off, now you see more of the watch. Do y'all see that with the
Yeah,
links?
Yes,
it's
yes.
it's a
So,
Jubilee band, so technically that is a Batgirl Rolex, and it's super cool. And
yeah, look, it fits. It's my new ring.
there you go.
Yeah.
We're gonna make those. We're gonna make those one of these days. We'll do something.
You need to tell them they need to simmer down in the background. Otherwise, we're going to bring them on the show. No, nobody's allowed to have a party without us too.
Oh, that's a good question. Billionaires, if you could have a cigar with a superhero character, which one would it be?
Okay, I want all three of us to answer this one because I think
Ooh,
mine is going to be completely different than y'all's.
Ah, dang.
I mean, define
Uh,
superhero.
well,
So
we're talking about the
you're-
comics. We're talking
you're-
about comics.
So
So
we're talking comics.
the problem is I am a huge Star Wars nerd.
Uh,
Giant Star Wars nerd.
Same here.
So I have. So one of the things Ryan kept trying to get me to do, I have an actual R2D2, like a full
I've
functioning
heard of that. Your wife
robot.
spilled the beans about that, and I'm
I mean,
coming over just to hang out with it.
My wife's a Satanist.
Dude,
So
you need to do a reel with you smoking a cigar with R2D2.
Yeah.
So Ryan was like, bring it to PCA and have him drive around and serve cigars to people. And I'm like, I am fairly sure that Disney/Lucasfilm would sue the ever living out of me if that would happen. But maybe we'll change the color and it'll be the leaf and grain robot. We'll just
Oh
have a-
yes, I
have
like
a-
Or
that.
the red one, red leaf and gray.
Okay. So if you were to have a cigar with your superhero, it would be R2D2.
It would be that or some sort of lightsabery, rebel logo. I don't know, something going on there.
So something Star Wars. You would have it with one of the Star Wars.
Yeah, it would be
Okay.
something Star Wars. I don't know how to do
It
that.
can't be with Luke because he doesn't really have the hands for it, and he was burnt.
It's definitely a
Yeah.
Han Solo. It's definitely the Han Solo. You know what I mean? It's definitely,
Or with or Vader because he couldn't get it in his mouth, and he was burnt so crisp.
Brian McMeans is in the chat somewhere. He'll figure out how to do a Sith
Um,
cigar.
So
Okay,
Red, who would it be for you?
I have to have two. I have to have two because it can't be one, and I can do that.
By the way, before you say this, I'm going to steal the idea, and that'll be the special edition for the NFG event. I'm just kidding.
I was like, woo!
you
Okay.
you heard it here. You're on the hook
Right,
now.
you heard it.
You are on the hook.
It's got to be a
You
good
are.
idea first.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Okay, so growing up when I was little, like every female, that the little girl, we had our comic book underoos. Even guys had underoos, right? You remember the shirt and stuff.
Underoos
Oh
were the
yeah.
best.
Oh
Underoos,
yeah.
right? Yeah, those were like happening, right? So my underoos was Wonder Woman, and I would twirl so much until I threw up. It was ridiculous how much like I really thought I was going to turn into her. So it would be Wonder Woman, and my second one would be Superman. Superman is my all-time
It's dope.
favorite. Like, God, I love Superman.
Great.
Superman,
Great logo.
yeah.
Which
Yeah.
Superman?
And he and Wonder Woman used to be a couple.
Yeah, they
If
did.
you read the comics, yeah.
So which Superman?
And then they got with that, and they got with that. Then she got with Batman, and she went back with Superman. She went back and forth, and then she went with another one.
So mine will come from the X-Men because I have been an X-Men fan
Hmm.
for decades, and even own the first appearances. I'm going to show that in a minute.
Yeah.
Even own the first appearances of Rogue and
Hmm.
Psylocke and and
Yeah.
all of them. I own those
Hmm.
comic books in there. Mine would probably be Rogue, just because I love the dichotomy of her character, and to
Uh-huh.
be able to sit down and talk with her about just all of the challenges that she has of being someone that wants to love, but she can't touch anybody physically because
Yeah, it's so sad.
she will take their essence, but yet she still thrives and still pushes on. So I just
Hmm.
love that dichotomy. She's my favorite comic book character, um, and that's who I would choose. I want to go to Cigar Traveler's question because I think it's a good follow-up question. But while we're doing that, so here's the question of who would you smoke with, living or dead? So what famous person in either living now or in history would you want to smoke a cigar with? And while you're thinking about your answer, this is just a perfect definition of Neil. 50% George Lucas, 25% Tony Stark,
Yes.
25% nerd, 100% legend. Yes.
That is the best. That is the
All
best.
right. So Red, let's start with you this time. What famous person would you want
Oh
to
my
smoke a
gosh.
cigar with?
Oh man. You had
No
to start
pressure.
with me, didn't you? No
No pressure.
pressure.
Thank God you didn't
Um,
pick me.
like I've always made jokes because like if you bring Jesus, he's gonna bring like the perfect cigar and the perfect wine. I mean, that's kind of
Right.
like been like our go-to. But if I had to do, he said living or dead. Uh, but I think I also wouldn't mind like sitting and hanging out with like Leonardo da Vinci
Ooh.
because
Ooh,
he
good
Okay.
was
answer.
so
Good answer.
he was so freaking ahead of his time.
Mm.
And like you could tell he had like ADHD because his mind just never stopped. He just went on and went on. So I think it would be interesting to bring him nowadays so he could see how the world is and just kind of talk about it and what advancements he could come up with.
Oh, I like that.
And
All right.
yeah.
Neil, what about you?
So I'm going to give three answers because I can't narrow it down. So I had the pleasure of smoking in London a couple months ago and at Fox Cigar in London in Churchill's chair. And they have a
Oh,
little
wow.
museum. They have
Oh,
a
okay.
museum. They have a museum there. It's amazing. You get to see some of the things that he experienced
That's
in
freaking
the
cool.
cigar lounge. It's amazing. I'm famous for just letting my ash fall wherever it is. I ashed in his chair. It was great. I would love to have a
Love
smoke
it.
and just see what it's like to have the pressure of the world upon you in that
Mhm.
I'm a history buff too, so it's like just hear that.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be cool.
and then I would say, like, if we were to say, living, again, huge nerd. So the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger would be great because he seems to be like the iconic, cigar smoker of of this age. Would be super great. And then my inspiration for the Lusitania comes from Michael Jordan, right? So to hear
Very
the
good.
stories of him smoking them all the time, and I'm like, just to smoke a Lusitania with Michael Jordan and see what that's like would be freaking cool. He probably wouldn't say a word, and I'd just be sitting there smoking. It'd be great. It'd be totally fun.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go with my normal go-tos because I've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Which one of them is Churchill, one of them's Hemingway, one of them is
Hmm.
Mark Twain. I'm going to
Oh,
go
good
further.
one.
I'm going to go further back in history because just having studied a lot about the history of cigars and where they have come from, I I'm going to have to go with Christopher Columbus this time around because think about this now. He lands in Cuba, in the Caribbean. He lands in Cuba in the Caribbean, and the Tiano tribe brings his explorers in, and they bring in the tobacco in, and
Hmm.
this is where really cigars was introduced to the rest of the world, and I think it would kind of be cool to either smoke a cigar with him or smoke a cigar with the Queen of Spain as he brings them back and introduces it to the rest of the world that way. And just hearing that story and what they thought about the tobacco and how it just all
It'd be amazing. It would be amazing.
really kind of blossomed up from there. I think that would be cool. So Gabe says General Patton. Yeah,
Hmm.
and viewers, the rest of you, let us know who would you want to smoke a cigar with, past or present. Churchill's chair, Madison
Yeah.
says, falls under the coolest stuff. Checks out. Yep. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, smoke.
That's freaking
That's
You know,
like
that's freaking
mic
cool.
drop.
again, the craziest story happened when you smoke cigars. So that was totally by accident, right? I'm walking down the street in London, and I see this
Hmm.
small little sign hanging on the street that just says Cuban cigars. That's all it says. And I walked past it. And then in the back of my head, I said, if you don't go in this shop, you have missed an opportunity. And it
Yeah.
turns out to be Fox Cigar in London. And I was there for a totally different reason. And I walked in, and
That's freaking cool.
it was the coolest experience. And they were like, they're the one that told me about it. They were like, I go, can I smoke here? And they go, yeah, you can smoke here. You can smoke in Churchill's chair. I go,
What?
what does that mean?
What?
And I'm just a
Yeah.
total dummy. And they bring me down to this amazing museum, and I'm all alone, just smoking. I bought a D4, and I am sitting here going, this is the wildest stuff I've ever done. This is crazy. Like, this is super cool.
I am curious as to how much a D4 cost in London.
$42.
What?
And then I started
That's
my own
it?
cigar. 42, yeah, $42.
You didn't include the tax.
So what's funny is I bought two that day. One I ended up going to Davidoff. You can't smoke in Davidoff, and I bought one there. It was 46 or 49. But we had to do it because we were there.
Well,
So-
when we were at the Underground last week or the week before last,
Yeah.
and we were talking about that, and I had mentioned my favorite Partagas is the D2.
Yep.
Which you can't get anymore. They don't
Yeah.
make the D2 anymore, and if you
Mhm.
can find it, you're going to be paying $1,200 to $1,300 for it.
Hmm.
So I thought for sure you're going to come back and say, a couple of hundred for the D4, even though, I know they're
Well,
still
they-
making it.
I saw the dates on them. They were fairly recent dates too. Now the cool thing is they'll at Fox anyway, they'll take you and show you all the stuff they have in their premium cigar humidor, and they showed me some amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
Cohibas that are 500 a stick, pre-embargo, Cubans
Oh
they have
wow.
from way back when. They have amazing selections there, and they're just super cool. They're showing you all this stuff, and I'm, me, I'm just like, oh
Yeah,
wow, that's
you nerding
amazing.
out. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh,
I,
and
I would say road trip, but we would get stopped at the
Yeah.
coastline.
let's go, man.
So
We can figure out a way. We'll
we'll
hop in the
swim.
van
We'll
and go.
swim. We'll get in a little raft. So Neil, what was your first cigar? Do you remember your first cigar that you had?
I do. I really do. This is crazy. So, growing up, it was. I even remember the exact shop. I grew up in Arlington. I remember going to the shop in Arlington with a buddy of mine, and he. I don't know anything about cigars. He said, "Hey, let's go smoke cigars." I'm 18 years old, and
Which is
he
legal at
goes,
the time. So
legal at
people
the
don't
time.
start.
This is
Yeah,
how
legal.
old I am. And he goes, my favorite. This is my friend Ken Boyce. Hi, Ken. He goes, my favorite is Romeo and Julieta. Let's smoke a Romeo and Julieta. And I go, that name sounds super cool. Let's smoke that. And so, I smoked it, and it was, probably made me green and sick because I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But from that point on, I kind of realized that, smoking cigars is a little bit more than just the lighting of the cigar and doing that. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very social experiment, and I was hooked. And I kind of was into it. As friends did it, and then I'll say this: I really came back into it with a good friend of mine, Brian McNeeds. He posted in the chat here. I'm hanging out with him, and he gives me an Opus X. I don't know him from anybody. He's smoking cigars. He said, "Let's smoke these cigars," and I go, "I don't know much about cigars, but this is a very expensive cigar." And he said, It's always a good time to smoke a good cigar, right? It's never a
It's
good time to
always.
smoke. It's
It's
always a good
always
time.
a good time out.
Yeah. And so
I
from that point on, I started realizing that these cigars can bring a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
together, and the enjoyment of the cigar and finding out what you like and doing all these different things is a really cool. It's a really cool experiment in time. You have you can look forward to it, you can plan for it, but sometimes that moment comes on you without you even knowing it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm very cognizant of the enjoyment that people get from smoking a cigar, right? And
I
so
always say, cigars are a great equalizer, trademark pending.
it really
I
is.
I
It
mean,
really is.
I think I need to, because I think I'm the one that coined the phrase, so I think I need to purchase a
Yeah.
trademark on it. But
Yes,
It
you
I
do.
really
mean,
is.
you're right. I mean, everything that we do it doesn't matter anything about your background. You bring a cigar into the picture there, and everybody's on equal terms, even if you don't
Mm-hmm.
smoke a cigar, because back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, it forces you to slow down. It forces you to reflect.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
100%.
in that
Yeah.
reflection, none of the rest of the BS matters. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter the rest of it,
Right.
because
Yeah.
that life is
Mm-hmm.
meant to be enjoyed and meant to slow down and meant to relax, and this is what forces us to do that.
It really
And
is.
and I I'm I pulled out the number, and Ray can tell you how many times I pulled out the number.
Yeah.
So that
Eh,
that tells you something about
Taking
the
it
cigar.
taking it down to the end. Yeah.
yeah.
I've definitely come to enjoy that. And you don't want a cigar to end. A good cigar. You don't ever want a
Yeah.
good cigar to end. Uh, I think again, probably super deep and super philosophical, but you know, uh, when you smoke a cigar, it's really uh, a time to be cherished and to enjoy. Whether you're by yourself, you can do
Mm-hmm.
it by yourself or with your group
Yeah.
of people, but it's a special time. And I think as you start to really look at who smokes cigars, when they smoke cigars, and all that, it's almost like a special club that people have to find their own way into. You're not gonna grab somebody and grab them and say, sit down and smoke the cigar and enjoy it. You can't force anybody into it.
No.
But when they find it on their own, and I hope, and again, this has been a really cool journey through this, and I find some people that have never smoked cigars before, and I pick out the Robusto Habano for them that I blend, because it's a shorter cigar. It burns a little cooler. I know they're not gonna be, in it for some tortuous event, and they get it and they go, this is really good. And I go, yeah, it's and here's the thing, it's not about the cigar, right? It's really not about the cigar. It's about the people that you're with and the time that you're enjoying. And maybe I'm getting too philosophical about what a cigar is. But
not at all. Not at all.
It really is a cool experiment in social, interaction.
We've talked about that many times on the show. Many times. It's not about the cigar, because the cigar is gonna go, and it's gonna be done with it. The cigar's the vehicle that brings, I think it's a vehicle that brings us all together, but it's about the relationships. And I mean, as you both know, I just got back late yesterday evening from my parents' house in Arkansas, and got called there Monday of last week because my dad went into the hospital, and on Thursday of last week, we thought we were going to lose my dad. I mean, it was come in, say your goodbyes. And the Friday, thank the Lord, praise Jesus, that my dad took a drastic turnaround, 180-degree turnaround, and now he's no longer in hospice, and now he's in rehab, and now the plan is to bring him home. But that's not. I'm just setting that to a little bit of the background of what happened while I was there. So I go to a cigar lounge there in Conway, and Cigar Traveler Zach drove from Dallas to Arkansas, 6-hour drive, to sit with me.
Oh, wow.
6 hours, 351 miles to sit with me, and to make sure that I had some of my people, and 8 other people came out. David Salisbury, one of our friends from Underground. David Salisbury drove an hour up to sit with me. Other people from the Holy Smokes, a big Christian cigar group, 6,000 members worldwide. 6 people from Holy Smokes came to sit with me, and we all sat around smoking a cigar, and I cried. We prayed. We drank whiskey, although that we weren't supposed to because Conway's in a dry county. It was that camaraderie of the cigars that brought us all together and brought support for me in what is one of the, it goes down into one of the most difficult times of my life that I have ever experienced. And that's, I love that about what we do. And then hearing the story that you have brought out, Neil, with Time Out, that's your focus, that's your goal. It's not, it's not to create another revenue stream for you, which, I hope and pray that it does, that this is creating, and I want to do everything. We want to do everything that we can to support you for that, but what you're doing is bringing out something for people to experience, and I love that.
That's really what it's about. So, again, I didn't write out a business plan for all this, but number one, if I were to write it out, it's one sentence: I want to smoke cigars with my friends. That's it. And I don't have any delusions of this is $1 billion idea where I'm going to be in all these places. And an interesting fact, and Ash, you were at PCA. A lot of people were asking me, what's your goals for this? You want to talk to, this giant chain or this giant, whatever it is, and get into that. And I go, no, it's not. I don't want to do that. And not that I don't want to aspire to do that later, but the problem is if you did that first, if you were the, fireball of whiskey or whatever it is, you did this and you got it everywhere. I could never get the support that I got at the local cigar lounges, right? The groups that I have here in Dallas and the real grassroots base that I have. Underground is great. The Trinity Whiskey Club and the Dallas Bourbon Club are great at supporting this, and that's the base of all this. And I would never be able to get that if we started out and were in every place in the world, coast to coast, all this stuff. You wouldn't be able to get that grassroots thing. Maybe I could, but it would be much harder. And I would rather have that base, and then all of a sudden people are part of this thing going, maybe someday, oh wow, you can get timeouts at every, Specs or Total Wine or whatever it is in the world, or these non-local places. That'd be great. But I'd rather be able to walk into a lounge where I know everybody there and can say, hey, let's just smoke a great cigar, And
how many shops?
That cheers. I was just saying, it's a cheers mentality.
Yeah,
What made that show?
Yep.
What made that show was the camaraderie with those guys. It wasn't, it was a relationship. And yes, they had the spinoffs, and it's kind of like you make your jokes is you go to the cigar lounge to escape the nagging wife, but then you get the nagging red there. So I don't know how much that is, but like you go there to escape. In reality, you go there to escape, but it's more than that. It's like the people that you're escaping with. And it's kind of like, Greybeard, we talked about it. And it's no offense to him or anything, but he and I wouldn't have met or hung out in real life if it weren't for cigars.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
my beard
I wouldn't have met you.
Yeah, my beard would have turned her away. She was like, who was this guy that goes by Greybeard coming up and talking to me? Go away. I don't.
Yeah.
You're below me. You're below me.
Oh no one is ever below me. So that's kind of
I'm teasing you.
Yeah, I know, but that's kind of the real truth about it, and I think it kind of comes to another part. I want to get to the billionaire's question here in a minute. I did see it.
While you're doing that, I want to show some of the support that he's getting. So,
okay.
So keep on. I'm just going to show
some
of the support.
Some of the people are actually really shocked whenever they message me. It might take me a hot minute because I have a such connection at my work and sometimes at my house. But my thing is I've always responded to people who've messaged me, and they are so shocked that I've taken the time out to respond to them. and the thing is if I lose sight of that and I can't, carry our conversation, or I think I'm better than other people and I'm better and you're beneath me, then I have lost what smoking cigars is. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And I also want to brag,
100%.
and I want to brag about this. So Neil and I are at a central location between our two houses, right? Which is down the street from both of us. And we are at the bank in the parking lot, chilling, talking, having a great time, just talking about the podcast, the cigars, other things like, hey, tell me this. I started kind of interviewing him earlier. And he has this beautiful cherry red Ferrari. Okay. So we're out there talking, and a dude pulls up with his kid, and he said, hey, do you mind if my son looks at your car? He's a car kid. He's into cars. He really likes it. He takes it a step further, and he says, he asked the kid, he goes, "Do you want to sit inside?" This kid, I
Wow.
kid you not, get his eyes are bigger than my face now. He's like, "What?" Then he even goes further. He goes, "Push the accelerator," and he teaches him how to go.
It's
I sucked at doing
my
it.
favorite thing.
Yeah, yeah. And he is just like, whatever. The dad is videoing this,
Yep.
and he's talking about like, okay, how do y'all know each other? And now we're both smoking cigars, hanging out, talking and chilling. And we talked about him. He goes, "Well, I don't smoke cigars, but my dad does." So I handed him a business card and said, "Hey, we're having on. Have your dad watch. It'll be there. It's like I showed him. It's on our Facebook. It's on our website. You can see it on our YouTube." Showed him all that stuff. And but like Neil took the time out. He could have been an asshat and said, "No, I'm sorry, we're conducting business." He'd be like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, don't. You can look at it, but don't touch because this." And the kid knew exactly what car it was and everything. And then he could have said, "Okay, you can look, but don't touch. No, you can't sit in it. No, you can't." So he completely made this
I,
dad and this kid's day. And there's not very many people. So to
I
me, that showed the character of you. And
thank
I'm
you.
like, you know what? He's like, if I'm going to smoke something, I want to smoke a cigar from someone who has a genuine heart. Because there's big players in this, and I refuse to. If they're given to me, then I'll get the cigars. But there's certain cigars I freaking refuse to buy because the people are assholes. They have
Yep.
freaking great cigars. I love the cigars, but because they're fucking assholes, I refuse to smoke them. So
Well,
I'm gonna say you can smoke a timeout, and you're not smoking it from an asshole.
you're
So there you
so
go.
I yeah, that was a great. That was a. Yeah, I wish that was not planned. Obviously, it was crazy, but so that's my weakness. So if I was a kid, I would think about what would happen or how people would feel about it. But my favorite thing is this kid is uh, so jazzed about seeing this crazy car, and seeing it is one thing, but that's my thing. Several people see me do it. I'll bring anybody in that is showing interest in this. I don't know how old that kid was, 7 years old, and I moved the seat up and I put him in the driver's
Yeah.
seat and I said, "Here's the tachometer. It goes to 7 or 8. Push the button, and when it gets to 7 or 8, just stop." And he was going, "Wow." And I hope he remembers that for the rest of his life, and
I'm sure I'm
remembers.
sure he will.
And I'm
And
sure
Neil
you made like the reels, the YouTubes, all that stuff.
and
I need a
Neil,
good pitch.
Neil I gotta say, I've been smoking this cigar, stopped
Still
pairing
on.
it, been smoking this cigar, still going down to the nub that just says something about it. And I want to echo what Red is saying. This cigar, just by itself, has already become box worthy.
Nice.
Now, hearing this about your character and that
Hmm.
level of integrity about you, which I have no doubt, I'm not surprised. People, you need to get out. I'm going to put the website back up again here. You need to get out and you need to support this guy. Contact all three of
Thank you.
us or any of us on where to find the cigar. Um, don't mention any stores, but do you
Yeah.
know how many stores, how many locations you're in?
Yeah, so we've got a handful in the DFW Metroplex. I've tried to make sure that Dallas, Fort Worth, northern areas are supported. We've got some good support, especially from PCA, of stores that are outside of Texas too.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's been really cool. And I will say, this is something I heard way early on. A lot of people. So again, I went into this as a sponge. I wanted to learn the business. I don't know anything, and most everybody told me, hey, we want to understand what your story is. We want to understand who you are. We want to
Yep.
understand why you're doing this and all that. And so, obviously this is definitely a very personal endeavor, and we've tried to create something really cool here. And have told the kind of the same story as we did this, and we made some really cool connections, like really cool bonds, and that's what I'm about, right? Again, you could do these, nameless, faceless, blind things, and they'll buy all your stuff, but that's not what it's about. I think it's really cool to be with a certain store and really build a following, really support the store. That's what this is about, right? You've kind of said this before: support your local brick and mortar, support your local shop.
Yeah.
And I feel this is how we can do this, right? I am not, I only have 2 blends, 3 sizes. I'm not trying to, create, take all these facings from these stores. That's another thing I learned from stores. They're like, these facings are very, this is, tough territory to gain. So I've kind of said, hey, just get me in a very small section, and we can get in here, and I will do what I can to make sure that the people in your area understand that this is what this is about, right? So it's been cool. It's been really cool. I've really enjoyed it. I love it. I smoke, again, the business plan for Time Out Cigars is I want to smoke cigars with my friends. That's really what it is.
And I do want to add this caveat, because people are going to sit there and say, why didn't you interview him at PCA? You keep talking about PCA. So I want to put this out here.
I was gone. You interviewed my wife.
So it wasn't that, because this is what I said. I had Mad Money, Madison, 262. I had Holly with Ohana. But you were busy selling your cigar. And to me, that is more important. That's not like, I wanted you to go do you, get your name out there, get your boxes sold, and all of that stuff. So that if people are going to come at me for like why I didn't do that, because he was busy doing that. And as I stated before previously, to me, that's more important. And I just looked at his wife. I said, look, he needs to go sell those boxes and get that stuff out there. I said, but I'm going to hook up with him, and I'm going to bother him and say, hey, dude, do you want to come? We want you on.
100%.
We want to support you. And I did. And so, and I told his wife, I said, I'll try to come back, but it was kind of like at the end of late of the day or whatever, and I was leaving. But my thing is,
I was deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
PCA.
It was a lot. It's a lot to take in, especially your first year. Yeah. That's when they launched.
So Ryan was like, hey, we need to figure out how to do this and get it done by PCA. And I was like, the bands are still at this factory and the cigars are coming from Nicaragua and all this stuff's happening. And I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work out. I don't know if the timing's going to work out. And it did, because Ryan is a genius.
Yeah.
Yes. And we got there, and PCA was cool because I got to see behind this curtain of the way the cigar industry works. And I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to be a sponge. I am just, I don't know. I'm going to try and absorb as much as I can. And I was deer in the headlights. And what was cool was, it was just like this. People were asking me, why are you doing this? What's the background behind this? Tell me about your blends and all this stuff. And it's exactly what I've been saying this whole time. And it was kind of cool because I met some really cool people, you included, that were, that kind of bought into the idea and were like, hey, this guy's a little crazy, and this is, I hope it was a refreshing change from, I had a third of a booth. And I walked in and I was like looking at, you look at all these booths that are there, and
oh yeah, that's ridiculous.
They're probably spending more than I hope to ever make in 10 years making cigars. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But it was cool.
I will say that when she gets back from PCA, and she goes, oh, I got something to tell you. I've got somebody for the show. I'm going to go ahead and get him booked on the show. And she didn't tell me who it was right off the bat. And it wasn't until I went in and looked, because we do everything on Trello. And so I went in and looked at the schedule, and I was like, so cool. I was wanting to talk with him. I was wanting to reach out to him to get him on the show, and here she is. And so, you know, not knowing that we had actually met, you know, at the UG, in times past, and even before the show, you had been there when we were doing our shows live from there, and you're like,
Yep.
"Who is that guy? Oh, that's Greybeard." And
Mhm.
it's like, "Oh man, this is cool. I want to get into some of this." I didn't even know that we had met in passing on that, and
Yeah.
so when she told me, it's like I got Neil from Time Out Cigars on it, and I had seen the hats, I'd seen some of the promos and stuff that she was done, so I had kind of a little bit of a fanboy moment for there when
So did
she
I.
told me when she told me that you were coming on the show, and then when we actually talked, a couple of weeks ago there, I was like, all right, this dude is cool. I appreciate because you pulled a cigar out for me right then and there and handed it to me,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
life just got really crazy as you've already heard
Yeah.
of with me, and so it's like I didn't have a chance to smoke any of them until today. So this is completely
Yeah.
blind for me on this, and I was kind of a little apprehensive. It's like, okay, I hope it's good. I know who Ryan is. I know who Madison is. And,
Mhm.
and Gabe, who used to be with 262, is a part of our team. And everybody's telling me these cigars are legit. Neil's legit with it. So I am thoroughly enjoying this.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So
Did I give you one of the lasered cigars? Is that what I gave you at the underground? I can't remember what I gave you.
This is the one that you gave me. I pulled
Oh,
it out right
that's
here.
what I gave. Okay. So one of the
And
things
I don't know which one this is. This the
that's
Robusto version?
the Robusto Batman, Maduro Sumatra. Yeah.
Okay.
So I
Oh,
oh,
good.
a
So I
bobblehead. Oh, that would be
oh
cool. Sorry, I
the
got my
the
what
we
ADHD kicked in.
one of the things I'm
yes
doing is
Bobblehead.
if
we
I
we
see
we got
if
the
I go to an
chef.
event if I go to an event and I see anybody wearing one of the hats, I have these lasered cigars that they're lasered with the upside down cigar logo on it,
No,
and I hand
cool.
those to anybody wearing a hat. I'm trying. So I love. So again, I like the thought of the community. I love the thought of
Mhm.
all that. So when I see somebody wearing the hat, I try to give them something. Um,
I'll
you
wear my
you
shark.
you've seen the stands. I've at PCA I came up with these stands, and
Mhm.
because I knew like hey, I've just got my cigars, but I need to stand out. So I'm a huge nerd, so I 3D printed these crazy stands with the NFCs built it into them, and I was like, what can I do for people to kind of just give them something cool for being part of the timeout movement? And I think it's kind of
I, so,
cool. And
so
Mhm.
so so we're not selling cigars because we can talk about cigar paraphernalia, the accessories such as the hat and
Mhm.
such as the stance and stuff. Is there a way that people can buy one of the stands or buy one of the hats? Can they get them off of the website?
so at the moment, no. It's been like a reward for people that have either that shark is a famous uh, and Ash, you have one of one.
Yes.
The cigar was Shark Week at Underground, which was super cool. Don
Yeah.
has been super supportive of
Mhm.
me, and so I did that special for them during Shark Week. That was actually Madison actually kind of got in my ear and was like, "Hey man, Shark Week coming up. We got to do something cool."
Ooh.
So I did that. The I gave Graver. Did I give? I can't remember if I gave you one or not. Anyway, I have these other little stands that I gave out to everybody at the beginning,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna do something special too. So that's the whole cool thing too, is as we start doing events, we're gonna do more events as we go up, and those events will have these special, either hats or cigar stands or something like that. Swag is big,
So
I think
what
that's a
what
cool thing.
where are you going to be at next? What's the next event
Yes.
for you?
I think we're probably going to do a big launch event once the weather gets not 118 degrees or whatever it is here. We're going to probably do a big event at Underground for sure. Another big supporter has been Hearsay in Arlington, so we
Mhm.
may try and do something there.
Love Jera and everything that Jera and Cody is doing.
Yeah,
Just
Cody's great.
not
Yeah,
just
Jared's
on
great.
Cody's great, Jera's great. Everything at Hearsay is great. I've been there a couple of times. Food is phenomenal,
I'm an
phenomenal food there.
so I'm an Arlington boy. Like I've lived in Arlington for 40, 45, 40, no, 44 years. So I'm an Arlington, I'm an Arlington dude. Hearsay used to be Friday's Front Row Grill, and that's where
Yep.
we used to hang out in high school. So it was super
Mhm.
cool. So I just love the concept of that. But any place that's gonna take us on, we're gonna do some cool events. There's some events coming up. I don't know if I can say it here, but Good Karma
Yeah.
is going to do some events
Yep.
with us.
You
And
can tell us your events.
let us know, and we'll put them in the
Cool.
calendar of events on our website as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
So get us
Good
all
Karma's
that
going to do it.
information.
We've done some really cool events with Thompson Cigar. I'm primarily started in the bourbon thing, so I think that the bourbon base has been super supportive of what we've been doing. So Thompson's has been really cool.
Mhm.
One of our initial supporters was down in El Paso. So
Wow.
we were super lucky to
Oh, I love it.
to get in with them. Um, Super crazy story. It's a long story, but I'm going to do it real short. At PCA, one of my friends was there, and he had the hat on, and he was walking through the Venetian, and he saw a guy smoking a timeout in the casino,
Nice.
and it was somebody had just come by and gotten samples. He hadn't placed an order yet, and it was Vin Bin in Massachusetts, and so he cornered the guy and go, "Where'd you get that cigar?" And he goes, "I just got a sample from this guy named Neil." And he was like, "That's a great cigar." He goes, "It is." And then we got an order from him, so that was super cool. So I think that's, again, if that's going to be a example of how timeout gets spread across here, it's going to be, smoking cigars with our friends. Like that's the way it's going to
It's
be.
going to be
Yeah.
it's going to be beautiful. All right, so closing up, one question that we always ask is outside of the Partagas, because we know how you like your Partagas D4, and outside of the Anejo Shark, and outside of your cigars, what's something else that you smoke?
Ooh, man, crazy question. So Opus
Yeah.
X has been, uh, prized line in my humidor. I have a couple Purple Rains, which are Opus X Purple Rains. I smoked one when TCU, Go Frogs, went to the national championship. I said, hey, the Opus X Purple Rain will be a cigar that I smoke at the national. Unfortunately, it didn't end up the way TCU wanted to end up, but it was still a great smoke. But that was one of those cigars that you remember smoking. Yeah,
Yes.
Opus and all those lines have been super great.
Opus X's are great, and I love the story uh, behind what Don Corlido and what they did in bringing that out. Back in the early mid '80s, the story behind that line of
Yeah.
cigars is just a great cigar. I mean, it's a great story. So yes, absolutely
Super.
great choices.
Yeah, I'm a fanboy. Like that's the base of it all, and I think everybody who smokes cigar has their own what's their line, and that's the beauty. So if you really go back to this whole thing, I was in a cigar bar in Weston, Florida, Smoke on the Water. Shout out to Smoke on the Water.
Yep.
And I'm enjoying a smoke with a friend of mine, and I look in the humidor. This is like right as I started this, and they have a giant humidor, and there is thousands of cigars in there, right? And I look in the humidor, and what I see is, wow, there are so many brands out there. There's so many blends. There's so many styles out there. Why not mine? Like, why not create one
Yeah.
Right.
that figures it
Right.
out? And a lot of people will tell you, no, that's a dumb thing. Don't do it. Whatever it is. Probably should have listened to them. I'm not really sure that I went down the right path on this, but I took that as when I saw that vision, I was like, there's a cigar for everyone there, right? And I think, nowadays, and especially as I'm going to some of these events and I'm meeting a lot of people that haven't smoked cigars for the first time, it's cool to introduce them to what makes a cigar great, right? And it's draw, it's smoke, but also it's a little bit of the whole process of smoking a cigar. And I probably get too deep into all this because a lot of people just go grab a smoke and light it. That's what it is. But I really think about from beginning to end, from when you pick that cigar, from when you look at the band, from when you think that this cigar is going to match the mood that you want to have, to match the pairing. We talked about pairings, right? I'm about to have my favorite cigar pairing is cigar and coffee, right?
Right.
And when you're about to try and match those things, it's a there's a lot of thought that goes into all this, and if you make it happen, it's magic, right?
It is.
And the cool part about it is you get to keep trying,
Yep.
And I want everybody, I'm not delusional enough to think that everybody needs to smoke my cigar. I smoke, tons of different brands, and I love to keep smoking different brands because that's how you figure out what are the new tastes, what are flavors that you can go for, and what's new out there, right? So I love it. Like I generally, it sounds corny, I generally love smoking cigars. Again,
it doesn't. You're talking to a
Preaching to
couple
the
of
choir.
people.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, everything that you just mentioned around, finding that perfect pairing, learning how the flavors match up, learning how they marry up with, that's why we built Leaf and Grain Society. That's it.
Yeah.
We have our own cigar, but we don't sell cigars. We have swag, with Leaf and Grain hats and different stuff. We don't. I mean, we don't really sell those anymore. What we do is we teach people how to bring all of this together to quote Joey G, Joe Carlino, to take your pairings to the next level. That's what we're about. That's it.
Super cool.
Any closing comments?
Buy timeouts, buy a lot of them. I'm just kidding.
No, that's good.
Smoke
That's good.
Smoke cigars with your friends. That's if I were to come away with anything, it's reach out to me and tell me where you're smoking, and I'll come smoke a cigar with you. Like I said, I'm here in DFW. I'm at the Algiers. You'll see it on the cover of D Magazine coming up. Lucky enough to pair up with them to kind of sponsor the cigar room here. So anybody reach out to me at Instagram at Timeout Cigars is a great way to reach out to me. Let me know. We'll meet up here at Algiers and smoke a cigar, and I'll show you the place. And it's super cool. It's a private whiskey and cigar lounge. You get to, every pour is free. Have as much as you want, responsibly.
Responsibly.
But what's cool is if the cool part about all this, cigars and bourbon and all this stuff, is to try new things, right? Is to know, hey, I want to try this rye, or I want to try this bourbon, or get a single barrel that this club picked, and that's where the fun begins, right?
It's exploring.
I think that's
so
where
we explore the pairings.
Yeah,
explore the pairings.
And we smoke all kinds of cigars here, and I love trying new cigars, and I love seeing what's out there because again, I'm the first to admit I don't know a lot about this, so I want to learn. Like I really want to see what's out there and see what people are enjoying, because then you can turn that into to what the next great cigar is, right? So I think that's super cool, and we're gonna do new things. Ryan and I are always talking about what's the next new blend and what's the next great thing, and just to put it out there, the next new thing. I'm a nerd. I'm a huge nerd, so How do you take
Nerds rule.
how do you take nerddom and the geekiness of being a sci-fi / robotic?
Oh yeah.
Not to. I love Voltron. Voltron's super cool. 5 lions turn into 1 robot. What if 5 cigars could do cool things? Anyway, so what's the next new thing? Like, what can we do to kind of say, let's have fun with it, right? So that's the whole thing too. Is like, let's have fun. Enjoy the cigar. What other thing do you just light on fire and it's gone, right? And you have to think about the enjoyment that you had of the thing that you lit on fire and it's gone.
Yeah.
It's only cigars.
Absolutely, 100%. And I love what Madison has said, and this could almost be.
Is Madison not the greatest person ever? Come on, look at this.
Yes.
Yes.
I love what he says. He said, "Greatness takes time."
That could be your hashtag.
And that time is right now.
I gotta quote all these things. We gotta write these down.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna add one to it. So greatness takes time. That time is right now. So take time out and experience the greatness.
I'm gonna write that on the next box. Let's go. Let's go.
There you go.
Neil,
that was great.
Thank you so much for jumping on with us. I'm going to ask you both to stick around just for a minute. Quickly, we've got a great show coming up, another great show coming up next week, where we have got Pedro from Drew Estate that's going to be on with us. Now, I got to let everybody know, we've got some great swag that Drew Estate that has given to us to be able to bring to you. You have to be on the show from beginning to end, and we're going to be giving away 3 pieces. So be on the lookout for the spots. They're going to come up here in about 27 minutes, all across Facebook and Instagram, as far as what that swag is, and you have to be on the show the entire time. Some great pieces. I need to step up
with some swag. What's going on here? Are you putting me on the? I'll get you some swag right here.
Hey, we will give away some of your swag too. We've got some great shows coming up. With that, we've got more people that are lined up in the future. We've got some more great pairings coming up. So please, I put up our Reds and mine and our Instagram and our Leap and Grain Society. Help us out by going out and click that follow button, click that subscribe button, click that notification button, so that way you know when we're coming up. Until next time, explore the pairings.
There's something for everyone. Have a good night, y'all.
Have a good night, everybody.